Yes.
Yeah. So, good evening, everyone. So, I'll be covering the basic CSS and theming for this session. So, for today's agenda, we have theming and styling, basics of CSS, HTML without CSS, attaching a style sheet techniques, typical web page HTML, CSS layout and box model, and a small demo on practical presentation of that how these are done. So moving on. So theming and styling play a crucial role in web development to enhance the user experience. It involves defining a consistent and harmonious set of styles for a website or an application, enhances brand identity, improves user experience, and simplifies maintenance. So what is CSS? CSS is a style sheet language that is a cascading style sheet that is the full form of CSS. So it's a style sheet language used to describe the presentation of a document. So basically, this file we can create using a notepad. The main point that you need to understand is that you have to save that file through .css extension. Thus, it becomes a CSS file, and you can use it externally and internally for that HTML web pages. So these CSS contains a series of commands or rules, and these rules tells the HTML how to display through how, like if you want to add a color, you have a certain property called colors, and according to that, you can add some set of rules and commands for the HTML to display that. So there are selectors and properties and values in there. So selectors are define the elements to the site. So basically, HTML has a number of elements. So for that elements, we can add styles to that through this CSS. So various styles like color, font, margin, padding, etc. are properties of these CSS. So CSS with HTML without a CSS is like a piece of candy without a pretty wrapper. So basically, if we have a website and we are not having a CSS or we are not having any style for it, it will be just a simple website like this. A simple website. Every elements and what we are giving will be just portrayed to that website plainly. So if we need to style, if we need to have a presentation for user experience, we will add the CSS. That is the main purpose of the CSS. So HTML elements typically flow from top to bottom of the page and position themselves left by default. So each of these elements are positioned left defaultly. So if we need to move the position or change the position or the size of the text or give color to a particular element or even that text needs to be changed, like that with this help of CSS we can beautify that HTML page into a much better user friendly website. So we can with the help of CSS we can create containers or divs to better organize content and manage a web page visually appealing. So basically the visual appearance is done by the CSS. HTML is the structure and the visual appearance it gets is through the CSS we are given. So there are three ways actually for attaching a style sheet. Style sheet means that CSS to a website, to a HTML code. So one is external, the other one is internal and inline. Okay. So the external style sheet is that you will have a link to a particular style style sheet file, and you can add it through that link ref. This is the syntax for that link reference style sheet href, that you can add that URL which will represent that style sheet, or you can add a document a relative path if it's in your local system, or you can add that relative path to the link. It will take that external link external style sheet into that website. So internal style sheet, some frameworks like Angular and all have these files included in that in their components instance. So you can give them internally also. So each component has a style sheet, that a CSS file. Through that also you can add a CSS to your website. So another one is inline style sheet, that is directly attaching styles to that particular element which you want to be altered. So inline style sheet is not much practice because it is hard to update each and every time in that specific HTML code. So mainly internal style sheet is being used so that we can have styles throughout in one place and we can alter it accordingly. So I will show you that inline and internal style sheet in the demo that I'll be showing. Yeah. So styling techniques. Yeah, there are different. There are three types of styling techniques. That is element based. That is, you can specifically uh, give the elements some style. Like div, you can give that tag. That tag div element tag. You can directly give some styles to that particular element. Then class-based and ID-based. So class-based are you can if an element has a class and you're giving a class name and you are using that to create a CSS that is with that class you can perform your styles. And for class-based styling, the that extra advantage is that you can this class can be repeatedly used wherever throughout the project you can use, but one requirement is that it should be globally that CSS should be globally assigned. So class is not unique, but ID based styling means it is a unique ID. Each selector has a unique ID. So according, only that element gets that particular styling that you are giving. Rest of them won't be getting affected. In case of class, if you are giving two elements the same class name, that two elements will get that same styling. So that is the use of class and ID based styling. So in this element based styling also, we won't prefer doing that because each and every div, if you are giving a styling like uh, a color or background color to a particular div tag, uh, throughout the project, that div element will get that background color. If necessary, only we will do that. But usually, we will assign a class to that particular element, and through that class, we will be giving style. So these are the styling techniques. So a typical web page browser contains of a header, menu, main content where the contents are shown, and a footer. Basically, a typical web page will be like this. There will be different formats for these also. Some might not have headers, some might not have footers, but main content. Each of the items or elements in that web page is considered as containers and divs. So they can be managed easily. So with these divs and containers, we can accordingly we can give styles so that we can beautify the workspace. So this is the basic syntax or how we are writing a web page HTML. That is here we can see that I have given a container which is a complete wrapper. This is a complete wrapper for this header, main, menu, and footer. So I've added an ID for that container. So, and I've given three divs separately. That is one for header, that is one for main content, and main content in that I have a small menu that is for the dashboard, and I have a div, another div that is for the footer. So in these, I can insert multiple elements, and according to that, using the ID or class elements, we can give the styles accordingly. For this page to be appeared, I need to specify that I need a container, and inside that container I have a div element. I need to have that text in the center aligned position. I need that header for its background. Then menu on the left side, main on the right side. It should be aligned simultaneously, and footer on the bottom. And their backgrounds are similar to that container background. So in here, only the header is given the color. So through the ID we can ID of header. So in the um, styling of styling using IDs, hash header, that is and curly brace. That is the way of writing ID based styling in CSS. In that curly braces, we can add background color, text, etc. So I will go to the CSS layout and box model. So what is box model? CSS layout. Mainly the box model is that one element has a margin, padding, width, height, border. This these all components, these all properties together join the box model. So basically, I will start with width. So yeah, so width of an element, we can tweak width of a element accordingly. We can add min width, max width, and we can add in pixels as well as percentage. So width, we can if we are giving 100% width, that element will get the view width of that web page. It will get the full width of that web page. So like that only the height also. We can predefine a certain amount of height is needed. So if min width we are giving min width as a property, it will set a minimum height this needs to be done. It can grow, that element can grow, but minimum height this is required for that element. And also maximum width, if you are setting maximum width, after that maximum width, that element cannot grow. That is used for min width and max. So um, so coming to the margin. Margin is the space outside the text or content and the border. You can use margin for all around the elements or specify each side of the rectangle separately. So actually, this is the element we are having. If we consider this box as a div element, so this will be an element. This outer portion is said to be as margin. Okay, we can separately give margin to the top, left, right, and bottom. So considering the padding, padding is similar to margin, but the difference is that it's inside the corner. Padding is if we are giving padding to an element, it will take the space inside that corners of that rectangle. That is what is padding. So border is like that. If we are giving border to this element, that one line. Okay, there are multiple styles for orders. That is dotted, dashed, and a line. Uh, so if we are giving, if we need to mark some borders, we can align. That also we can add for the left, top, right, bottom separately if we are needing that. So here there is float Z index. Z index is like if you are placing two elements one after the other, and if you are giving Z index for a particular element, the first element, say the div component, one, and the bottom div as 9, the priority will go to the 9. If we click on that div element, the 9, the higher index value will get selected first. So that is the property of Z index. So float is like that. It will let the elements float from left to right. You can position left to right with the float property. Text align, yeah. So text align is clearly this header will be, if we are giving just a header, it will move. It will be aligned to the left of that web page. So we need to align center or right side of that web page or that element. We will use text align property. Vertical align also is the same. It will be vertically aligned to the center of that div. So this is basic. I'm just written. I'm just showing a basic CSS styling for that content div. Uh, Using that ID style. Okay, currently I've used the ID styling. In the demo, I've mostly used the class because class we can use if we need to use that styling elsewhere, we can use that same class name. So mostly I've used that class. So I will show that in the demo. Okay. So here I have three divs, and each div has an ID. One is header, one is content, one is footer. So for the content only, currently I have given CSS. That is a background color and a margin for bottom 10. So from here, this is the outer div, and this is the div, and from there 10 px down, we will have a separation from the next element. If this margin bottom is not was not placed, or margin top was not placed, this div will be on aligned at the same level as the boundary of the above div content. So border 1px dash blue means this border placing. I've given color inside whatever text we are adding. The color of that text will be white. And width auto, that is full width. Width auto means according to the content, the width will be adjusted automatically. So I will go to the demo. I will show you one by one how this reflects so that you can have an experience of it. Uh, so here I have an Angular project currently. So with that I have done this. So I will show you what I have done. So basically I have a div container. This container is also a bootstrap or predefined class. This has a margin or left and right for 15 px margin. So that is being shown here actually. It is center aligned. That container is center aligned. If I'm giving container fluid, it will have a small change in that. That it will take the full amount. Only small little margin will be left on the left and right side of it. So that is the difference of container and container fluids. There are different bootstrap classes also that is predefined. For our easiness, we can try out them also. Yeah. So first of all, I will show you inline styling of how we can add a inline styling to that text. So I've added a H1 tag. In this H1 tag, there are tags for headings. So from H1 to H5, there are headings. I will show you a difference of that. So one, I've given the syntax of inline styling is that style equal to, in quote, we will give the properties what we need to add on it. So here I will give one as blue and one as red, and I will show you how it reflects. So this H1 is the bigger heading. Okay, that text, that font size will be bigger, and H2 tag will be a little smaller, and the font weight will be also small. These H1 tags have already a predefined class in it, so we can tweak according to our need also. If we need to write it manually, we can just have a div tag and have a header in it and add a class for it. So this is how you write a class for a particular element, and in the CSS file, currently I'm using Angular also to show this demo. I'm currently working on Angular. So each component I have a CSS file. So in that CSS file, I will be writing this. So in that ID, if you are using an ID, we will write hash that that name ID hash that ID name. So currently I'm using class, so I will give dot and I will open braces and I will font weight according to font size. I will give according to pixels I'm giving currently. Font weight also we can add any style however we want. Also the color can be added. So that will be shown here. So this also we can manually write it, or we can use certain HTML elements also in that. That is one case. So in that other styling method is like that. So currently for the header, I have written some classes in the CSS. So currently the header has a margin of 20 px from top, bottom, left, right. Currently the margin that header has margin of 20 px. So there are different types, as I mentioned earlier. There are different types of how we can handle that. So different ways of writing. So if I'm giving margin 20 px and 10 px, this will get affected as this 20 px will represent the top and bottom, and this 10 px will represent the left and right of that div. So this top and bottom will get 20 px, and this left and right will get 10 px margin. Another way we can write left, top, bottom, left, right, all together we can write that like this. I will give a higher value for that. You can understand how it. So here the 50 px will represent the top, 0 px will represent the right, bottom 15 px, and left is 20 px. So I will save it and I will show. Here the 50 px has been shown here. Um, Bottom 0 px, 15, right 0 px. I will show how it will show if I'm giving 0 px as bottom. So it will be aligned to the div element next. So there will be no margin, there will be no space in between. So that is how margin works. So that is the margin property. So I will go to the padding. So similar to the margin, there are these three things can be similar to the margin. This padding also has these three ways of representing that. So other than that, we can also directly add one margin bottom, margin top, like that also we can add for this element. So I will show that in the padding. So padding 20 means I will show you how padding 20 is coming right now. This green portion that you can see is the padding that is given to this div element. So that inside margin is known as the padding for this div element. I will change it here. So this is being changed. The green lining of that padding has been, that header text has been moved a little more left than earlier. Like that, we can adjust that padding to according to the top, right, bottom, left of the element also. This will be the pad. If I'm giving padding less than 0, to show like this. So that's it about the padding. So coming to the border, we have border solid lines, dotted lines, and dashed lines. So currently, I've shown the border as um, uh, that solid lines. I will show you that dotted and dashed lines. So the syntax is that this 5px represents the thickness of that border, how much you want. So I'm giving us 2px, that according to that it will be changed. That will be really thin. If I'm giving you giving that border around 5, it will accordingly change. One more property is there is that border radius. For each border, we can make it curved border radius. If I'm giving border radius to a particular element, that border will be curved. So you can make it like this. According to that, according to your need, the border radius will be curved. You can curve that border, or you can just have no border radius. Also, it's fine. So that is the dotted line. I will show you that dashed line. So this will be the dashed portion. Okay. So yeah. So moving to the height. So I've mentioned that currently I'm not giving height to a particular element. That content data height only that we that div element here I've given a h1 tag. So that height only this element will get. So if I need to add more height to it, we will give min height or this height. Min height, minimum height, this should be required. Whether there is more content or less content, this minimum height will be there. If according to that content is increasing, that height will increase. That is the min height, max height. So if max height is given after this 200px, you can it will not the height will not increase. Either you can make that element scrollable to see the full content. Otherwise, it will get cut down from there. So that is the min height, max height. So the float property here is that float will float that elements to left and right. Currently, this button I have used float left. So I will show you how it will move to the float right position. If I'm adding this, it will move to the right of the screen. So according to the website, a web page, this float works. From left to right, we can move. Yeah. So that is that. Any question?
If anyone have any questions, please. I think no one have no questions. Abhishek, it's a wonderful section. Thank you for the section, Abhishek.
Yeah. Thank you, Raju.